Alrighty guys, if you've been on this channel for any amount of time, today is going to be like a breath of fresh air, or maybe not, I guess, depending on which way you look at it. But either way, we're working on a different project vehicle than usual. Ugly truck, the Turbo 8.1, well, I've just been driving it and enjoying it and kind of tweaking on the tune just a little bit, just to refine it a little bit more. But that means today we're going to be working on the Suburban, which is a 99 Chevy Suburban, which won't look like a Suburban later on this year. But today we're going to be addressing a problem that is very common on these GMT400 Chevy trucks, sagging door. Now, right now I've got the door just kind of propped open a little bit. It's not quite latched, but that's just to illustrate how far off that door is sagging. Now, the root cause of the problem is back here in the hinge. There's a small bushing in a pin that will wear out, and that just causes the door to sag and it doesn't shut easily. Now, if you slam it, you can kind of get them to shut, but the problem with that is you can kind of see it still sits a little bit low, but it's also going to wear out your latch assembly right up here, because every time you slam the door, it's actually riding up on the striker bolt. And as you can see, it's pretty well worn out. So we're going to replace everything. I got a couple of parts from, well, the local parts store, and this stuff you can grab pretty much anywhere because of how common these problems are. I've got a pair of hinge pin kits, a new spring because the original one fell out, and one of these little, I don't know what you call it, but it's the thing that little door bumper detent thingy kind of rides on. So anyway, to get this stuff out, you actually got to remove the door from the truck. You don't have to completely remove it, but you at least have to get the hinge pins out and pull the door back and then kind of hold it out of place. But I think since I'm by myself right here, I don't have a helper to kind of hold this stuff up. I think it'll be completely easier just to take the door all the way off the truck. So let's get to it. As you can tell by these old bushings, this job is definitely a little bit overdue, so I'm glad that we're knocking it out. Now, I've got all the hard work done, and honestly, hard work is a bit of an exaggeration because this job is actually going really, really simply. On the upper hinge, I've got 2 new bushings in, and I installed a new, I don't know what they call that part, but like the door roller maybe. The old one was pretty well kinked up and probably seized up. The little wheel didn't spin anymore. But this one nice and straight, and the wheel spins very freely. On the bottom, the bushings are actually part of the door, not part of the cab. Again, 2 new bushings pressed in, and this door should shut a whole lot better than it did before. Now, one thing to keep in mind whenever you're working with these bronze door bushings is take your time with them and don't hit them in with a hammer. They're pretty brittle, and if you do hit them with a hammer, they're probably going to crack on you, and then you'll be going back to the parts store for another set. 2 ways you can do it. I showed you both. You can either use some sort of like a C-clamp and just the socket to just allow it to push right in. It doesn't take a whole lot of force. The other way you can do it is just with a big pair of pliers. And I always use a little bit of a washer, just something on the flange side of the bushing just so you don't distort it. And then again, a socket just to allow the bushing to pass all the way through the hinge. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward job. And now all I've got to do is just put it back together. All right, the door's put back together, and now the real test is how is it going to line up and how is the door going to shut. So the first thing I'll do, shut the door, I'll just kind of give it a quick push and let it basically just fall shut. And look at that, it goes all the way closed. You can kind of tell it's closed, and it lines up almost perfectly. I mean, with the door shut, of course, but what I'll do, the real test, is I'll just kind of let it go till it barely touches the latch. And right there, it sags a tiny, tiny bit, but that's so much better than it was before. And like I said, it just shuts beautifully. So now, I gotta think of something else to do. I just finished up installing one more part on the inside of the truck. And originally the plan was just to make one really long video, but it's a completely different subject matter and it ran a little bit longer than I had anticipated. So I'm just gonna upload that one in another day or two just to kind of keep things separate. But anyway, I'll give you a quick sneak peek, I guess, of what we installed. Obviously, it's a center console of some sort, but it might not be what you think. Also, I just wanted to show you real quick another cool thing I picked up off of Amazon. This is the original CD player that used to sit in the dashboard. And nobody really uses CDs anymore, and I certainly don't. But in its place, I installed one of these little CD player pocket delete cubby thingies. And you can actually buy them brand new. Like I said, that's on Amazon. I think it costs like $10 or $11. And I know you can get them at the junkyard, and the ones at the junkyard do have kind of that little fuzzy, not grippy stuff on the inside, but just kind of the little fuzzy, velvety, whatever it is. This one's just plastic, but it's just another great place to, you know, store your phone, store your sunglasses or whatever. And like I said, nobody ever uses CD. So I was happy to spend the 10 or 11 bucks. Also, quick update on the door hinge pins. I'm really irritated actually, and I guess I should expect this. They're pretty inexpensive, just generic parts store replacements, and one of them has already cracked. I took my time, I installed them, you know, very carefully, and everything went together fine, but after opening and closing the door probably 10 times or less, one of the bushings on the upper hinge actually started to crack, and the bushing is now spinning inside the hinge when the door opens and closes. So I'm pretty irritated about that. It definitely, I don't think happened when I installed it. I think it just happened after a couple of cycles. Maybe it was pre-cracked or something, I don't know. All I do know is that those cheap bushings, like I said, they are very brittle. Now, supposedly there's a guy on Facebook who makes some cool stuff for these GMT400 trucks, and he makes a heavy-duty bushing kit. So I'm gonna try to get my hands on one of those and I'll do a video on that whenever I do get them, if I do get them. Because like I said, it's irritating. You go through the effort. It's certainly not that much money, and I guess you get what you pay for, right? So anyway, I want to say thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate each and every one of you. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in a couple days for the installation of that console.